Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about Oscar Bobb and his potential future at Manchester City and how he might play into Manchester City. But before we get into that, I am covering the entirety of the Euros and Copa America through watch-alongs on my channel. So if you are interested in that, please do consider subscribing and checking those out. And now without further ado, let's actually get into the video. So, as you see, I've prepared a tactical part here and I have some theoretical signings. Now, who these players are exactly, it doesn't matter. These are just the type of signings I think we will make. I think we're making a new right winger. I think we're getting a new defensive midfielder, as well as probably a new right back, but that doesn't really matter for Oscar Bobb. He's never going to play right back anyways. Now, why did I include them if it doesn't matter who the players are? It's just so that we can talk about the roles they will fulfill. If we get a new right back, or right winger I mean, he will be rotating with Doku for that right wing, and Grealish will be fighting with Savio for that left wing position. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that there is little to no space for Oscar Bobb to get onto the wings. Maybe in a small game like if you play Huddersfield in the FA Cup, but no real proper game time on those wing positions. So if we get those new signings, the wings are out. He's never going to play a defensive role like right back or left back, so we don't need to talk about that either. And if we get a new defensive midfielder, what does that do for us? It lets us rotate De Bruyne and it lets us rotate Rodri, and let me explain why. Obviously, new defensive midfielder, we can just rotate Rodri by putting him in defensive midfield. But what we can also do is having De Bruyne out and playing Rodri up higher, with his new defensive midfielder playing deep and Rodri playing higher. Because Rodri has the ability to go forwards. It's a very rare ability for defensive midfielders to have. Rodri has it. He can go forwards. So this new defensive midfielder would allow us to rotate Rodri and De Bruyne. Meaning, simply put, Oscar Bobb, how is he going to get into this midfield? Well, it's not going to be Guardiola, because Guardiola steps up into midfield from left back or from centre back, depending on how you want to do it next season. So, Oscar Bobb, he's not going to have the Guardiola role. He doesn't get into midfield through Guardiola. He doesn't get into midfield through De Bruyne, because De Bruyne is already being rotated with Rodri, this new defensive midfielder. Probably Grealish as well, if we look at it a bit like that. Grealish might probably take this more central position as well. So how does Oscar Bobb get into this midfield? There's only really one player that Oscar Bobb can get into this midfield for. And that is, of course, Phil Foden, who doesn't really have a good backup at the moment. So, you might say, we have Bernardo Silva, but Bernardo Silva is getting old. Next season, it's probably his last season at Manchester City, if he doesn't leave this summer already. And you want to get your Bernardo Silva replacement some minutes before Bernardo Silva actually leaves. If Bernardo Silva leaves next summer, you want Oscar Bobb to get in some minutes now. That way, we know, once Bernardo Silva is gone, Oscar Bobb is ready. What that means is, Oscar Bobb can rotate with Phil Foden. Oscar Bobb can do a lot of things very similarly to Phil Foden. He is probably closer to Bernardo Silva as a player than Foden, but I think he is similar enough to slot into the same system. So, that is where Oscar Bobb is most likely to fit in. But, what if Julian Alvarez leaves Manchester City? Now, it's not going to happen, because, well, he's pretty much said, I'm happy at Manchester City, and he doesn't really want to leave. But there seems to be some rumors about it, so let me just address it quickly. If if Alvarez leaves, Oscar Bobb can definitely take a false nine position to rest Haaland. But that's not likely to happen, so I will not cover it. But if you want a video on that, please do tell me and I'll make one. So Oscar Bobb, mainly playing the Foden role. How will he actually play at Manchester City? Let's look into that. So, let's say Foden, we're just rotating him, right? It's nothing too major. And Bobb plays instead. What does Foden like to do when he's on the pitch? He likes to play close. He likes to play deep balls. That's mainly the game of Phil Foden. But what Foden prefers is playing close. What Oscar Bobb prefers is also playing close. But whereas Foden will try to pass the ball around quickly, Oscar Bobb will try to slow down the game a bit more. Which maybe that is just a product of him playing on the right wing or on the left wing this season. But Oscar Bobb likes to slow down play, whereas Foden likes to play quickly. They both like playing in tight areas. Foden plays quickly, Bobb plays slowly. So the question is, can Bobb change to playing faster football? Or does he have to? Well, the first question, I can't answer that for you because that entirely depends on Oscar Bobb. I just can't answer that for you. Nobody really can. That's only something we will see once it happens. But what we can say is, does Oscar Bobb have to play faster like Phil Foden? And the answer to that is no, he doesn't. Not in this system at least. Because currently Phil Foden is the fast player in our midfield that makes the midfield work. But if De Bruyne is on the pitch, assuming he isn't injured again, De Bruyne can do that. And more importantly, we now have two wingers. Last season we only had really one proper winger. This season we will have two wingers who can put in fast balls and who can work fast in tight areas. And yes, I have watched Savio at Girona, by the way, he's very good. So, what Oscar Bobb can do is he can rotate with the Doku. Now, why would you do that? Doku in midfield? Well, it might actually make a lot more sense than you think. Because Doku has been cutting inside a lot in his first season. And he's been pretty decent at it. If you want someone to work faster in that midfield area, it can be Doku. He can just step into midfield and work that ball around faster. If you want someone to give you more control, like for example, you're winning 3-0, you just want to play the game out. So you bring on all your substitutes. You bring on your new defensive midfielder, you probably take off Doku or Savio as well, one or the other. You take off all your important players, right? I'm not going to do it now, but you get the gist of it. You just want to play out the game. Oscar Bobb is perfectly capable of holding on to possession. He does that very well. Foden isn't as good as holding on to possession. Foden is just going to go quick, get the ball forward and create a chance. Bobb is better at playing slowly, holding possession. That is already something he can do. If you don't want him doing that, you need a goal for example, alright, put him on the right and have Doku in midfield. Very easy. So in this system, in my opinion, Oscar Bobb doesn't need to be able to play fast like Phil Foden. But he might be able to do it anyways, and we don't know that. We won't know that until pretty much Pep plays him in that position. And that's really the video for now. Do tell me if you agree, do tell me if you like Oscar Bobb, because there's a lot of mixed opinions about him in the Manchester City fan base, which I don't really get. He's really talented. He has like that little bit of a magical touch that Bernardo Silva used to have when he was younger. Like, take for example his goal against Newcastle or his assists. Well, I don't think it was an assist. It was a pre-assist against Huddersfield. He's just very calm on the ball. He works the ball around well, and his finishing is just very good. So it's like sophisticated, I suppose. It's in a very calm, intentional manner, which really reminds me of Bernardo Silva, which is why I said he's closer to Bernardo Silva than to Phil Foden. But yeah, do tell me down below if you agree or disagree. Please do like and subscribe if you checked out the video to the end. It helps the channel out a ton. And thank you for watching to the end. And I'll see you on the next one.